Hi guys. So this story, man. I started the story in another video. So if you haven't seen that video, go to my channel down below. But I'm just gonna recap the beginning of it. Basically, I stayed at their house for a little bit. I slept over. I went and stayed for a week because I had issues with my family. I ended up moving back to my family's house, but a week after that situation, like after they dropped me off to my family's house to move back, his mom brought me aside and said that basically my husband is a stupid man child and doesn't know how to deal with real life situations, and I need to keep him out of my drama. A week after that, I still didn't really feel that comfortable in my house. I used to stay out a lot. So one day, me and my husband were hanging out. We hung out outside until 12 o'clock. We went to his house and we talked for about 2 hours. So he ended up going inside at 2 o'clock in the morning. And we planned on having breakfast the next morning around 6 o'clock in the morning. So I started, hanging out until 2 o'clock, till 6 o'clock in the morning. Came back to his house. We were about to leave, and his mom came and kind of commanded us to get inside. So that's basically what you're missing if you haven't heard. So that's it right at this moment. So anyway, she comes outside. Remember, he was coming from the side door. We were about to leave. He comes outside. She comes outside and opens the door and says, "You two need to get inside." And she leaves the door open and she walks inside. She doesn't say anything else after that. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he starts walking, and so I'm starting to walk in. And she goes and she's just like, "Where the fuck do you think you're going, John? Like, what the fuck is going on? What are you doing? Where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, we're just going to have a breakfast. We're just going to go out to eat breakfast." And she's just like kind of just like yelling at me, like basically was like, "Oh, like, I told you to keep him out of your fucking drama and all of this shit. Why is she still here?" And like she's like yelling now. She's like, "Why is she still here? I thought we brought her back to our house. I thought she was going back to her house or whatever. Blah blah blah. What's happening? She's like, oh, I told you that you can't like keep him in his drama and all of this bullshit and blah 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 blah." And John tries to say something, and she smacks him right in the face, bro. I was like, holy shit. Smacked him dead right in the face. I was like, fucking shit. Like, what the fuck just happened? My husband goes, after he gets smacked in the face, he literally goes and turns around and, oh no, she goes and she's like, "Go to your room, John," and like yells at him. He goes, turns around and heads to his room and locks the door. And that's all. That's the last time I see him. She goes and she's like, "I told you to keep my son out of your drama. He was out all fucking night, and now you coming back over here and doing this. He's sleeping on the streets. What is he doing? Like, what? All of this shit, all of this stuff." You're like, and then she's like, "You're ruining this family. You're ruining the family. You need to stay the fuck away. I don't want to ever see you in this house again. You're not allowed here. You're not welcome. I don't want you to see my son. Get the fuck out," and shit like that, like yelling and screaming at me. I'm like, what the fuck? So I ended up walking out after she did that, and she like slams the door, whatever. She's like crazy, and I'm like thinking in my head, like, what the hell? Like, she's like saying all this shit, like he wasn't sleeping there or whatever, and I'm like, dude, like, I said that like he slept there that night, like he was home. He woke up and we're just gonna go to breakfast. She was basically like, it was bullshit. But anyway, I went and I ended up sitting across the street at the bus stop. And I was just calling him. Like, I was like calling him to be like, can we go? Like, what happened? Are you okay? Like, I did not hear from him at all. Like, I kept calling. I ended up I just was like, okay, now it's like 6:30 right now. I'm just gonna go and move away from here. And I said, I'm just gonna go get breakfast. Maybe he'll meet me later at the McDonald's that we're planning to go. So I started walking to the McDonald's. I ended up walking, keep calling him. Nothing. It was silent, bro. And I just kept replaying her, like, yelling at me and all of this stuff. I'm ruining her family. Like, the fuck did I do? I didn't do nothing. But I kept calling. I ended up getting some breakfast. It's like now 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, maybe this is a better time. I kept calling. Dude, I called, stayed at the McDonald's for like a couple of hours. And I ended up, going home and calling him. He finally answers the phone at like 5 o'clock the next day. No, maybe not the next day. 5 o'clock that same day, actually. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck happened? What's going on? What happened? Like, and he's like, honestly, I just zoned out and I just went right back to bed. I'm like, seriously? He was like, yeah, I just woke up and I just went right back to bed. I'm like, dude, you had me outside. Like, your mom literally, like, verbally abused the shit out of me. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry or whatever and blah, blah, blah. But it was that moment I knew that, like, his mom was just a straight bitch. Like, honestly, I keep saying that, but, like, there were little signs kept going, like I told you. But that, like, for her as a grown-ass woman to yell at a little kid like that, like, I'm 19, and tell me that I'm ruining the family or whatever, was psychotic, bro. But that was a really big scene in our relationship that still to this day my husband really doesn't want to talk about it. He hates that. I honestly resented him for that, but we'll get back into that. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, we ended up kind of like cooling off for a little bit, but that's pretty much it for that. I still can't believe that she would say something like that to, like, a kid. Like, if my son brought home, like, someone and whatever, and I feel like she was, like, a little too much or whatever, I would talk to her like a civil person, not like a psycho. Like, but anyway, that was it. I hope you guys liked this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell button down below, and we'll chat. Peace.